In this video, we're going to look at the differences between your app's development and live environments. Every Bubble application gets these two separate environments. You can see which environment you're in if you look at the upper right corner here of your editor. Right now we are in the development mode of the application. If I click on this and open up the menu, I can click on Live to switch over to the live environment. Okay, so every Bubble app comes with these two environments. You're going to spend the vast majority of your time in the development environment, as it is the only environment in which you can edit your application. So designing the pages, setting up the workflows, creating your data structure. Your live environment is a read-only environment. Okay, so you can see what has been published to live, but you won't be able to modify anything as a part of your app's architecture there. Now the exception is the data. Okay, both of these environments will have their own independent database. So yes, you technically have two separate databases. You have your development database and your live database. So when you are ready to publish your changes that you have edited in the development environment over to live, you're going to deploy. This is a publishing function, okay? So it's basically going to copy everything that you have in development, every data structure, every page design, every workflow, it will be published over to live. What does not get moved over to live is the actual data content. The structure does get published, but the content itself will remain separate. This is a good thing because you can test with your own sample data. You can, change things around however you'd like without actually affecting the live data, which, can be powering a lot of important features, and you're not interrupting your users, your live users in any way. Okay, so once again, each of these environments has its own database. When you're ready to publish your changes from development into live, you're going to come to this window and click on deploy. And everything will get carried over. For all pages, you can't pick and choose specific pages. You can't pick and choose, just certain workflows or just certain data structures. Everything will get published over. So you'll learn over time what your strategies will need to be in terms of the timing around your deployments and how frequently you want to do that. The only thing that doesn't get carried over is the data itself. Okay. Now, when you are looking at your live environment, remember you can click on this to switch into that live mode, and everything is in a read-only state. You can go into the app data of your live environment and look at all of your live data and even edit things there. That is the only exception as far as what can be edited inside of a live environment is the data itself. Okay, so you can come in here, you can add entries, you can edit them. That part is available for editing. Now, Bubble does have a helpful tool here for copying data between your two environments through this window here. So we're in the Data tab, the App Data sub-tab, and then this button right here, Copy and Restore Database. So the way that this works is that you'll choose which direction you want to do the copy. So you can either copy from your live database into the development, or in the other direction, copy from the development database into the live. Now, the live into development is a safer operation. That's something that you may be doing more frequently because it's always helpful to have more accurate test data in your development database if it's coming directly from your live environment, right? Your live users are generating things, and so bringing that over into the development can be very helpful. The other direction, however, going from development into live is something you want to be more careful with because, again, you're overwriting your existing data. So you want to be very careful with which test data actually gets sent into the live and replaces things. Okay, so you'll choose which direction, and Bubble's going to ask you which data type, if not everything, you want to copy over. So it's not an all or nothing in terms of the tables. You can do every single data type if you want, but you can also choose specific data types one at a time. And that's as far as you can get in terms of your selections. You can't actually pick and choose specific records. It's going to be the entire table. Okay, if you're looking to make more granular changes, then what you'll want to do is actually just go into the app data area here. Let me close this here and open up the data type and then go through your records one at a time, or you maybe need to create some kind of a workflow to edit specific records if you're looking to make some kind of a bulk change. Okay, so this is more if you're wanting to do some mass copy and copies into a different environment. Now, let's say that you've made a mistake and you want to restore your application data back to a previous version. Well, here you can revert either environment. You'll select again development or live, And again, you can choose a specific data type, or if you want to do all of them, and then the point in time you want to go back to. So that's going to take you back. Anything that was created from that point to the present time is going to be removed. Now also be mindful that your plan that your application is on will dictate how far back you can go. We can see that the application I'm on right now only lets me go back 7 days. Okay. Similarly, you can also revert your application architecture, not the data, but the architecture. So the data types and the fields, the workflows, your page design, all of that, using this window up here, your deployment window. So if you click into history, it's going to pull up a very similar window where you can revert. I'm not going to open it up because we do have some sensitive notes in there for this application. All right, so that is working with your two separate environments. You can copy data from one to another because deployments will not affect the data. You only edit in your development environment, but you can switch over to the live mode to see what's going on there. Now, another area to be mindful of is plugins. Some plugins will have settings for you to put in an API key. Not every plugin is like this, but you'll notice that at times you'll find a live key that you'll need to enter in here and then a development key. Some services will generate different keys for you for test modes versus live modes. And Bubble also gives you an opportunity to have different keys being implemented with that plugin depending on the environment that you're running the app. So we can see here as an example, MailChimp is going to require an API key. And, in some cases, you're fine to use the same key in both environments. There's nothing wrong with that. But in other cases, let's say, for example, payment gateways, you'll often be given separate keys for test modes versus live modes. Payment gateways are a popular one for that because they'll typically create a sandbox area where you can test things with fake transactions, right? You're not running real payments. And so there will be one key that you would enter here, and then another key for the live transactions would be in the live version here. And so depending on the field that you put that key in, Bubble will know which one to look at depending on the mode that you're running the app in. If you're running the development mode, it's going to pull from the development key. If you're running the live mode, it'll pull from the live key. And again, you set this up while you are in development, and then you will need to deploy the application, right? Publish that setting change so that it gets carried over to the live environment as well. You don't want to just have the keys in here and then not have the keys published to the live environment. The live environment wouldn't have a key to look at, okay? Now, how do you know whether you are running the development environment versus the live environment? Well, when you go to preview your application, you're going to see in the URL either version test or no version test. It's going to be one or the other. Okay, so if version test is in there, you're in your development environment. You are previewing the test mode. Like I said, you're going to spend the vast majority of your time when you're editing in the development environment. And so when you're previewing, you are previewing the version test. Live mode is not going to have this in here. Now, there are higher plans that Bubble has available that actually allows you to create multiple development environments, in which case you will actually be able to custom name your versions. And so when you're previewing those custom environments, then you'll see those words here. So let's say you have a version that you've labeled design, right? So you're going to see version design listed there. That's just an example of a custom label. That kind of way of working is more popular with teams of developers who are collaborating with each other and need kind of their own independent environments, so they're not stepping over each other. Okay, now anytime you make a change in your application and you have a preview page open here, Bubble's going to tell you that you'll need to refresh the page in order to see those new changes reflected. So for example, let's say I uninstall this plugin because I'm not actually using it here. That is a structural change to the app, and so you see right now Bubble is telling me, hey, we just experienced an update. You're going to have to refresh in order to continue moving forward with this preview. Okay, so you can just click on this, or you can just refresh the page like normal in your browser, and now it'll have the latest updates. So you don't have to deploy your application every single time you make a change, right? You can preview the pages in the version test mode here to see everything. It's only when you're ready to publish those changes for your live users to experience. So again, you'll learn what routines you'll need in order to create an intuitive and also helpful schedule for when changes are published in your application. Sometimes they may be for emergency fixes that have been published to live, and other times they may just be regular maintenance or regular updates that you're making to your app. Okay, so that's the main thing here. When you click on preview, you're taken immediately to your version test, but you can remove that to see the live version. Now, you're not going to access a live version until you have deployed at least once. All right, so those are the differences between your two different versions. Once you have deployed for the first time, I do encourage you to play around a little bit with the copy actions, with the deployment actions, so that you can see what those are going to do. Before you really, release your application to anyone, make sure you understand how those functions work, so that when the time comes where you do need to copy things, or you do need to revert, or you do need to deploy, you know exactly what is going to happen. All right, everyone, we'll see you in the next video.